Could you explain to our listeners what is HVAC inventory management?
Of course, yeah. So HVAC inventory management essentially is, anything to do with your physical items, such as components, equipment, anything that you need to kind of conduct your business. So that includes like stocking, procurement, tracking, even like things like maintenance, planning, budgeting, compliance, all that stuff.
So what are some examples of poor HVAC inventory management, and how does that impact business operations or customer satisfaction?
Yeah, the biggest one I would say would be negligent tracking, right? And what does that mean? I mean, obviously it means that you don't really know where things are. You're losing track of items. Either they're getting lost, they're getting damaged, they're getting stolen, things like that. So if you're not really able to keep an eye on things, you're not going to have those key components when you're out on the job site. You mentioned before that HVAC technicians are kind of scattered all over the place. So they kind of need to make sure that they have what they need when they're on the job. If they don't have what they need, they're not going to be able to complete that job, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really, really important that you have what you need, the equipment you need, the components that you need, where you need them, like when you need them, essentially. Yeah. And something also to keep in mind is HVAC businesses, they're also dealing with, things that are sometimes, toxic, dangerous chemicals like coolants and things like that, right? So you have to make sure that you know where those things are.
Not burn yourself.
They're not just like, in the fridge somewhere next to your lunch or something, right? You need to make sure that you know where they are, how much of it you have. I mean, a lot of the times you have to keep up with compliances for that stuff. So of course, tracking that and negligent tracking of those things is, very, very bad.
Dangerous.
Dangerous, not just bad, but dangerous. And there's poor forecasting, right? So like with any business, there's going to be seasonality involved. HVAC is no different. So, for example, if you're running an HVAC business, you might notice that you sell a lot more air conditioning units in July and August when it's super hot. Obviously, that makes sense. And you're going to be selling more furnaces during the winter, and then in the fall and the spring, people have the windows open or whatever. They're not really using their systems. You're not going to sell as much. So having a good idea of like when you kind of need more of certain things is really, really important. So poor forecasting is, if you're just continuously ordering the same amount all year round, you're going to find you're getting an influx of your inventory. You're going to be carrying a lot more. You're going to have less cash flow at certain times when you don't really need it. So having poor forecasting is a big thing that comes up a lot if you have poor inventory management. And kind of what comes along with that is understocking and overstocking. So of course, understocking is when you're running out of those components that you need, those integral components that you need in those
Making
moments.
People wait.
Making people wait is never good. Never good for business, right? People want things now. So if you're running out of those key components, you're out on a job site, you definitely have poor forecasting. You're not tracking your things properly. And then the flip side of that is of course overstocking. Maybe you're like, I keep running out of this fan unit or this AC unit. Like I'll just order a bunch. I'll just order a ton.
Tower.
A tower of these things. But I mean, that's obviously not a great thing because you're eating up into your cash flow and you're also eating up into your carrying costs as well. People think that holding on to things is going to be free. It's not. It costs money to have that warehouse space. You have to pay the rent and the utilities and all that. You could be storing other things instead, right? So you might even have to find yourself, I need more warehouse space because I have all of these components I need to store. But in reality, you're just ordering more than you need, right? So keeping that balance is really, really important. It's something that comes up a lot for companies that aren't managing their inventory properly. So another big thing that kind of it's kind of what all of those things that I mentioned kind of comes into. It's an inefficient workflow, right? So if you're not tracking your things properly, you don't know which technician has what equipment or what components. You don't know how much of the things that they have. You're going to have a really poor workflow. And with the field service, businesses, they need to kind of be kind of flexible, right? So if they get a call from a customer who needs a specific, job done, they can take a look at, I see that technician A is the closest to that job. I'll send them over, right? But if you're not tracking your things properly, you could send them over and they don't actually have what they need, right?
Never mind, I can't do this job.
Exactly, right? So if you're tracking things really, really well, you can, you'll get that call. And instead of saying, I'll send the closest technician over, you can say, well, who has the component that I need? Oh, this person, truck A actually has how close are they? Okay, they're not as close as truck B, but I'll send them over because they have what they need to actually complete the job, right? So having a really good, efficient workflow is going to be indicative of having good inventory management.
That makes sense.